In-store and online at shields.com.
Ron Burgundy Podcast.
The Ron Burgundy Podcast is back with a brand new season on the free iHeartRadio app. Make sure you tap follow so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, this is Ron Burgundy from the Ron Burgundy Podcast. We are back in the studio. Season 2, baby.
The iHeartRadio app, #1 for podcasts.
Listen to the Ron Burgundy Podcast on the iHeartRadio app.
iHeartRadio.
Now, the latest on the roads from the traffic center.
It's a Hope Law Firm wreck check. Injured in an accident? Visit hopelawfirm.com. We do have crash working 31st and Cottage Grove. 31st and Cottage Grove, some injuries there. Medics are just now responding. On the freeway, 235 east and westbound, not seeing any issues or delays. 7 easy minutes from the Mixmasters to downtown. 3580, 65.5, rolling along at speed limit. This report powered by Indeed.com. Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. With Des Moines' most frequent traffic all day, I'm Jim Brown.
Plenty of sunshine is expected today with a lot less humidity and cooler temperatures. Highs will climb into the mid-70s with dew points in the mid-50s. The sky will stay clear overnight with morning temperatures in the mid-50s to near 60. Cloud cover will increase throughout Saturday. You can expect a high near 83 with a chance of rain during the evening. The storms will continue overnight with a dry but warm and humid Sunday afternoon. Highs will be in the mid-80s. That's your latest News Radio 1040 WHO 3-day weather forecast. I'm Channel 13 meteorologist Amber Alexander.
At 9:07 in Des Moines, it is 61 degrees with partly cloudy skies on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Live from the Hy-Vee studios, this is News Radio 1040 WHO.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust. Jeff Angelo on News Radio 1040 WHO and the iHeartRadio app.
But Jeff Angelo is not here. He is roaming in Rome, as Bonnie says, or at least I think that's what he's doing. I'm Justin Brady. Normally, I am 4 to 6 p.m. every Saturday. But if there's an Iowa Hawkeye game here in Iowa, the Hawkeyes take first priority, and they kick me to the curb and say, good luck, buddy. So normally 4 to 6. You can go to the iHeartRadio app to the Justin Brady Show and hit follow. Follow me there. Also, twitter.com/Justin Brady. I do that Twitter thing. So you can message me there, harass me. It's all in good fun. Well, we have a very special guest in here. Congressman Tulsi Gabbard joins us. Thank you so much for coming in studio. I really appreciate it.
Aloha to you, Justin. I'm glad to be here with you.
So first question I have is, did you watch the debate last night? Because we might get into this later, but there's some sneaky things going on at the DNC, and you weren't included. So did you watch it at all?
I did not. I actually, we got here yesterday afternoon. I did some other interviews here with, we did a local radio interview and we did a local TV interview. Got back, turned it on for a couple of minutes, and then turned it off and moved on to other things.
So if it makes you feel any better, I did the exact same thing. I was watching on my phone. I was like, this is the same recycled junk I've heard a billion times. It's nothing new, and it's just a bunch of pandering. I can't take it.
And that's the problem with this format is, does it really help voters to be able to learn more about us as candidates, our motivation, our positions on issues, our vision for the country? And, when you've got the way it's laid out, 30 to 60 second answers and the things that are really promoted are not the substance, but, the things that drive up the ratings.
Right.
And the big ad buys and stuff for the hosting station. It just, to me, it doesn't really help voters. What it really does is it's a great platform to be able to raise national name recognition.
Sure.
That's the benefit, frankly, for us as candidates. But so I'm happy to be here.
But
in Iowa.
at what cost, though? Because it does, like Beto O'Rourke, he certainly has more name recognition, but I personally think it's really, really bad name recognition. Now he's selling shirts with the F word bleeped on them. And I'm like, this is, he's talking about taking everyone's guns away. He's talking about, it's fine to kill a child one day before they're born. So I'm kind of like, So you've spoken against this, by the way, like aggressive, this anger, this obvious pandering. You've spoken against how your competitors just pander all the time. But here's my question. Isn't it kind of working? I mean, aren't Democrats now pandering to the least informed voters?
Well, this is the problem with our politics, is that you see on both sides of the aisle kind of this extreme divisiveness and hyperpartisanship that's tearing our country apart. You see these identity politics being used to tear us apart rather than frankly, having leaders who are standing and saying, we are all Americans.
Right.
We love our country. And while we may disagree on how we solve the challenges we face, we have different ideas on how we approach these problems, we stand firmly on this common ground of appreciation for the freedoms and principles that are the bedrock of our country. That's the approach that I take, and this is why at our town hall gatherings, at our rallies, we have Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians. We have people from all ends of the political spectrum coming together, connecting on areas of common ground and interest, and agreeing to work together even on the areas where they may find disagreement. That's the kind of unifying leadership that I think our country needs and that I seek to bring.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We have such negativity on both sides, and it's almost like the Democrat Party. I've said this a billion times before, but it's almost like the Democrat Party has seen that anger and crazy comments and a Twitter feed that looks like I'll just call it a crazy person. I'm not calling Trump a crazy person, but man, his Twitter feed is terrible. And so it's almost like the Democrats saw that and they're trying to fight crazy with more crazy.
I think there too many are reacting to what Trump is doing. And I think that plays directly into what Trump wants.
Right.
People to be reacting every single day to all of the different things that he's throwing out in the universe, rather than actually focusing on what matters most, is which the people of this country. For us as elected leaders, that is the mission that we have. That is the trust that's been given to us. And this is what frustrates me most about the gridlock in Washington, is that it's so reactionary and it's not reacting to what matters most, which is how people are struggling and suffering.
And it has nothing to do with people. Like you just said, it has nothing to do with people. It has everything to do with scoring political points and making someone else look bad.
Exactly.
And so, Americans literally are left in the lurch.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you, I heard your Pledge of Allegiance ad.
Yeah.
And it was great, but here's a kind of a sign of the dark times we're in. My first thought was, ooh, that's bold. I wonder if she got pushback. So did you get anybody offended or pushing back on you because you read the Pledge of Allegiance?
I don't know. Maybe somewhere in the Twitter sphere. I try not to dive too deeply into that black hole. What I've gotten, I think that speaks to, frankly, what inspires me about being out on the road and visiting different communities across Iowa and in different states is how that message of appreciation and love for our country is actually drawing people together. And that's where, you see, you start asking, like, isn't the pandering working? Well, if all you do is look at Twitter, then you might think that's true. But, Twitter represents, 2 or 3% of the population of this country. And I think more people are really just looking for strong, unifying leadership that's going to put the well-being of people ahead of politics, putting people ahead of special interest corporate profits, and this is something I talk about all the time, is bringing about Abraham Lincoln's vision for our country, which is a government of, by, and for the people.
What are the chances? You've spoken about this a little bit on Tucker Carlson. You mentioned it a little bit. I'll just say in a very nice way, there are some shady things happening at the DNC. We saw it, Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. And I think we're probably seeing it now. You made a great, and it was respectful, but it was a comment to Kamala Harris. And we almost saw her poll numbers get chopped in half. Are you being punished for that?
Who knows what's going on really within the DNC. I think the biggest issue that I've called out and the biggest issue that I see that extends beyond my own campaign, which is a lack of transparency in this primary process. And when you've got a lack of transparency, what the result is people end up kind of scratching their heads saying, hey, what's really going on here?
Right.
Leading to distrust that this process is actually working for them, that it will be fair and transparent for voters who are making the most important decision, and leaving them feeling like, well, the DNC is saying that they are the gatekeepers who will determine, who voters are allowed to choose from as their nominee, forgetting that this choice lies squarely within the hands of the voters of this country.
Most of the front runners, I would say, other than Joe, our Vice President Joe Biden, of course, are kind of they have the same style, which is say really mean things, really aggressive things, go to severe extremes. Is there a chance that the DNC is using this year to wear down the GOP and kind of so that they can float another candidate? And do you know if they're talking about someone else? Are they looking for the next Obama?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I think the biggest problem is when you look at the power of the party politics and how they leverage that for their own interests rather than the interests of the people. I think that's the biggest concern that people have.
I think that's happening. I think absolutely that's happening from what we're seeing. One of the things that I don't think has gotten enough attention is, I think, an area where I might agree with you quite a bit. And I've asked Governor Delaney this, I've asked Congressman Delaney this and Governor Hickenlooper, and both would not give me a straight answer on this, but you've answered this pretty directly. You are pro-choice. However, you believe there should be limitations put where?
Late-term abortion, the third trimester. This question, this decision is often the most difficult decision that a woman is faced with.
Right.
And, I don't agree with Hillary Clinton on a lot of things, but she said something that I actually do agree with, that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And, for me personally, I am personally pro-life. I would not make that decision for myself, but I don't believe that our government should be in the position of making that decision for any woman. But I also think that there should be some restrictions where in that third trimester, that late-term abortion, that should be restricted unless a woman's life is at risk or she's at risk of facing severe health consequences if she's not able to get that abortion.
Yeah, and everybody on the show knows my opinion on this. I think unborn life is still life, and I think it should be protected, life, liberty, and happiness. So are we talking a ban, third trimester ban from the Tulsi Gabbard presidency?
With those exceptions in place, yes.
With those exceptions in place.
Yeah.
Got it. I think that's moving. It reminds me a little bit more of... oh boy, I'm blanking on his name now, but it reminds me a little bit more of the Libertarian candidate for Gary Johnson. It's who I voted for last time. He had a view more like that. So how do you think the DNC does actually go about kind of usurping the will of the people? I do want to get back to this a little bit. Are there any specifics you guys have seen or any specific things that are kind of showing their head? I do want to see if you know anything about that before I move on.
Well, no. I think what is kind of at question here that a lot of folks are commenting on social media about and raising questions is how the DNC is choosing which polls they deem as qualifying versus not.
Right.
They set two requirements. One is grassroots donors. We blew way past that requirement several weeks ago. I'm grateful for the tremendous support we're getting from people in all 50 states and territories. $5, $10, like really folks who are investing in our campaign and our vision for the future. The DNC requires at least 4 polls at 2%. I think I've got now probably close to 30 polls that are showing me exceeding at or exceeding 2%, but the DNC's only chosen to recognize 2 of them.
Right.
And this is where the question of transparency comes into play.
Well,
how are they making that decision?
Right.
Which polls are qualifying, which aren't?
And they don't want to say.
Which are most accurate, which aren't? Who is actually being polled? The demographics. Are they focusing on early states versus national, votes, national polls, which really are just name ID polls that focus on who's most well known or famous? So there's all these things, and I don't want to get into it too much, but these are the questions that are being raised in the minds of folks who are saying, "Hey, hold on a second, these numbers aren't quite matching up." Where my average polling numbers that are being reported when you put all these polls together, are higher than some of the folks who were on the debate stage last night.
I want to get on to 9/11 a little bit.
Yeah.
I also want to get on to, I want to give you an opportunity to talk to Iowans, but briefly, military spending. I hear a lot from people in the military on just it kind of makes your jaw hit the floor and how much waste there is. I've heard stories of people, well, we need to keep our budget, so everybody bury your ammunition or just shoot it in the side of the hill as fast as you can so we don't lose our budget.
Yeah.
You've talked about bringing our troops home. Would we see a more libertarian plan here where all the troops come home? And would you cut the military budget down in half because of that?
Yeah. See, again, this is about how we approach these challenges and decisions. To me, with just a very common sense, realist approach. Some of the examples you've heard of, I've lived through as well. Where we're coming to the end of the fiscal year, and you've got your supply sergeant who says, "Hey, we've got X number of dollars. Let's say there's $100,000 left over." Where if we don't spend this money before the end of the fiscal year, then they're going to cut our budget for next year when there's this thing we really got to buy next year that we need to have within the budget. So the system itself is not set up for rewarding fiscal responsibility.
Correct, yeah.
Instead, it incentivizes the opposite, where you've got a supply sergeant, a commander, company commander saying, oh my God, how are we going to spend this money? What do we need? Hey, everybody, give me your wish list. It's not actually serving the needs of the troops in that unit, nor is it serving the interests of the American taxpayer.
So would you chop that budget down 30, 50%?
Well, I would, and I'm not going to use an arbitrary number. I think our defense budget is bloated. I've made it a focal point of my campaign, coming from my background, serving as a soldier now for over 16 years in the Army National Guard, deploying twice in the Middle East, as well as my experience in Congress, serving on the Armed Services Committee. Building that policy, the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, to come in and say, first of all, we need to end these wasteful, counterproductive regime change wars. These are wars that have cost us as Americans, as service members, thousands of lives. Thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform have lost their lives in these wars. Countless more have lost limbs, come home with both visible and invisible wounds. There's been a cost that's taken a toll on every single taxpayer in this country. Over $6 trillion that have come out of our pockets, out of our schools, out of our healthcare system, out of our roads, bridges, dams, levees. Needs that our people have are not being met because this is where our money is going.
You're listening to Need to Know with Jeff Angelo. I am Justin Brady filling in. We're joined with Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, and we're going to have just a little bit more time with you before you get out of here. Next on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Today at 4, it'll be a special show.
Simon Conway.
I'll be going out on rescue missions. I'll be looking at the fence. Brought to you by AlliedTravel.com. I'm live at the U.S. border. News Radio 1040 WHO.
Hey, it's Jeff Angelo. I have family members with diabetes, and we often sit around the kitchen table and say the same things you do. How can we afford it all? That's where my friends at Diathrive come in. Diathrive is a company that was formed to stick it to Big Pharma. They cut out the middleman. They cut out the bureaucracy. Diathrive ships affordable testing supplies directly to you, starting as low as $8 a month, depending on your testing need. Diathrive offers extremely flexible plans. You can subscribe and set it and forget it, or you can pause, restart, or cancel your subscription at any time. And by the way, the shipping is also free. Now you're saying, Jeff, this sounds too good to be true. No. These supplies from Diathrive are FDA approved and reliable. The shipping is always free, and Diathrive delivers straight to your house. Ordering is simple. You can reach them at Diathrive.com. That's DIATHRIVE, Diathrive.com. From your mobile phone, dial pound 250 and say the keyword manage diabetes. Dial pound 250, say the keyword manage diabetes. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from iHeartMedia.
Someone who studies the weather. A climatologist. What do you call someone who evaluates investments? A financial analyst. A person who studies DNA? A geneticist. A person who owns their own business? An entrepreneur. Who researches markets? An economist. And who handles employees? An HR manager. Someone who keeps devices up to date? A software technician. Someone who does business internationally, a global trader. Someone who transfers assets from one generation to the next, an estate planner. And someone who does all these things, you call them a farmer. Because being a farmer is the one job that requires dozens of other jobs. And at Pioneer, We're proud that our job is to work with generations of American farmers in the most complex and rewarding industry on earth. So from your friends at Pioneer, thank you, farmers.
The Kenny G Holiday Show. The Miracles Holiday and Hits Tour 2019. A night filled with festive spirits and contemporary classics. December 18th at Hoyt Sherman Place. Tickets on sale Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Kenny G, produced by Mammoth.
For more information about contests on News Radio 1040 WHO, just go to whoradio.com/rules.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but you thought it'd be too hard or take too much time? Then go to Babbel.com, download the app, and try it for free. In just 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. And right now, you can try Babbel for free. Babbel starts out teaching you words and phrases by matching them with pictures. You won't believe how easy the interactive program is. Soon the sentences get a little bigger, and before you know it, you're having simulated conversations voiced by native speakers. And because Babbel is crafted by language experts and uses the spaced repetition method, in just 10 to 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking the language of your choice with real confidence. With Babbel, you can speak a language. Just go to Babbel.com and start your first lesson in the language of your choice for free. Download the Babbel app or go to Babbel.com and try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Win your way to our 2019 iHeartRadio Music Festival, plus $1,000. Yes. And you could score the ultimate VIP money can't buy grand prize experience, including front row tickets, 10 grand spending cash, backstage access with VIP meet and greets, first class flights, a Nightingale suite at the new Park MGM, and so much more. 2 nights, September 20th and 21st.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
You could be there in person. Just listen for your next chance to text and win.
From the DeWitt Construction and Remodeling Weather Center.
Today will be cooler, breezy, and a lot less humid. Expect plenty of sun with highs in the mid-70s. The overnight will stay dry and mostly clear. Morning lows will be in the mid-50s to near 60. For Channel 13, I'm meteorologist Amber Alexander.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions, then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire.
iHeartRadio. He knows that you care a whole lot more about your family and your job than you do about a bunch of politicians. Jeff Angelo is on News Radio 1040, WHO, and the iHeartRadio app.
And in for Jeff Angelo, I'm Justin Brady. Thank you very much for joining me. We're still joined with Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who is running for president. And I want to give you the remainder of this segment just to talk to Iowans. And, of course, you got in the military because of 9/11 as well.
I did. You know, we just observed the 18th anniversary of that fateful day when Al-Qaeda attacked our country and took thousands of people's lives. And for me, after that attack, like so many Americans across this country, I made the decision at that point to dedicate my life to serve and protect and defend our country, the American people, and our freedoms, and enlisted in the Army to do so. The reality is that our leaders failed us. You know, after 9/11, instead of focusing one-pointedly on going after Al-Qaeda, our leaders started a whole series of these regime change wars that we just talked about a few minutes ago, wars that have cost us dearly as the American people, cost our troops, our veterans, cost us as taxpayers trillions of dollars, caused pain, suffering, and death in the countries where we've waged these wars, and led us to the point where Al-Qaeda is stronger now than they were on 9/11. So this has been a central point of my campaign, bringing the experience that I have both in Congress and as a soldier, focusing on the need for change in our foreign policy, because our foreign policy is directly connected to our domestic policy. Now, we didn't have much time to get into this, but how do we pay for things that people need? This is why it's central. to end these wasteful regime change wars, make sure we have a strong, ready, capable military to protect and defend our country, honor our troops by only sending them on missions that are truly worthy of their sacrifice, and redirect those resources on serving the needs of the American people here at home.
Tulsi, thank you so much for coming in here. Tulsi Gabbard, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who is running for president. I'm Justin Brady, in for Jeff, News Radio 1040 WHO.